I am a hard-working software developer in Seattle. I thought I had found the one in Amanda after dating for 2 years. We were planning to move in together when suddenly she disappeared without a word. No calls, no texts, nothing. Later, I discovered she had taken $18,000 from my accounts. What came next shocked me to my core. She had run off to the Maldives with her ex. Before I continue my story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments, and hit that subscribe button to hear how I handled this betrayal. I met Amanda at my friend Kyle's housewarming party 3 years ago. She walked in wearing a blue sundress, her dark hair falling past her shoulders, and I was immediately drawn to her confident smile and infectious laugh. Within minutes of talking to her, I felt like I had known her for years. We bonded over our shared love of hiking the Pacific Northwest trails and our mutual appreciation for obscure indie films that none of our friends would watch with us. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant in Capitol Hill. I remember feeling nervous until she reached across the table and touched my hand while telling a story about her childhood dog. That simple gesture calmed me instantly. We stayed until closing time, lost in conversation, and walked along the waterfront until 2 in the morning. Amanda was the perfect blend of charming and adventurous. She worked as a marketing executive for a local clothing company, and her creativity showed in everything she did. For my 30th birthday, she organized a surprise trip to Portland, complete with reservations at restaurants I had mentioned, wanting to try months earlier. She remembered details about my life that even my family forgot. As our relationship progressed, we created routines and inside jokes that made our connection feel solid and real. Sunday mornings were reserved for brunch at our favorite local spot, followed by walks through Discovery Park. We had movie nights every Wednesday where we took turns picking films. She even got along wonderfully with my parents when they visited from Michigan, instantly winning them over with her thoughtful questions and genuine interest in their lives. By our second anniversary, I was certain she was the woman I wanted to spend my life with. I started setting aside money for an engagement ring, planning to propose during our planned trip to Glacier National Park the following summer. I began browsing real estate listings, imagining our future home together. Trust came naturally between us, or so I thought. When Amanda mentioned needing access to my accounts to handle some bill payments while I was on a business trip to San Francisco, I gave her my passwords without hesitation. We talked about combining our finances once we moved in together, so it seemed like a natural step. She helped manage our budgeting, often taking the lead on financial planning for our future. We spent hours discussing our dreams, the 3-bedroom craftsman-style house we wanted, whether we would have 2 or 3 children, even potential names. We planned trips we wanted to take together, created bucket lists of experiences to share, and talked about growing old together. Occasionally, Amanda would mention her ex-boyfriend, Troy. They had dated for 4 years before breaking up about 8 months before we met. From what she told me, their relationship ended because they wanted different things. He was restless and impulsive, while she claimed to want stability and commitment. Whenever his name came up, she spoke of him with what I interpreted as indifference, so I never worried about their past connection. Looking back, I should have paid more attention to how her expression changed slightly when she talked about him. But at the time, I felt secure and happy. I believed that what Amanda and I had was special and unbreakable. The changes began so subtly, I barely noticed them. 6 months ago, Amanda started becoming more distant. Our conversations grew shorter, and she seemed perpetually distracted, often checking her phone while we were together. When I asked if everything was okay, she would smile and say she was just stressed about work projects. Then came the secretive phone calls. She began stepping outside our apartment to take calls, speaking in hushed tones. One evening, when she was in the shower, her phone lit up with a message. I normally would never look, but the name caught my eye, Troy. The message preview simply read, "Miss you. Can't wait to." The rest was hidden. When I casually mentioned it later, Amanda dismissed it, saying they had reconnected as friends and were catching up. "He is going through a rough time with his business," she explained. Just offering some marketing advice, since that is my expertise. Her explanation seemed reasonable, but she changed her phone password the next day. Our shared credit card statement arrived with several unexplained charges, an expensive restaurant I had never heard of on a night she claimed to be working late, a significant purchase at a luxury lingerie store that I never saw, and several large cash withdrawals. When questioned, Amanda had plausible explanations for everything. The restaurant was a client dinner. She forgot to mention. The lingerie was supposed to be a surprise for our upcoming anniversary, and the cash withdrawals were for her mother, who preferred not to use credit cards. As weeks passed, her work schedule mysteriously intensified. Suddenly, there were mandatory weekend conferences and late-night meetings that kept her away more often than not. My instinct told me something was wrong, but I dismissed my concerns as paranoia. I trusted Amanda completely and could not imagine her being dishonest with me. The most telling incident happened 3 months before her disappearance. I borrowed her laptop to send some emails while mine was updating. When I opened the browser, her email was still logged in, and I noticed several messages from Troy with the subject line, Maldives planning. I felt a sickening twist in my stomach but closed it immediately, not wanting to invade her privacy. When I carefully asked about it that evening, Amanda became uncharacteristically defensive. "Are you spying on me now?" she snapped before softening her approach. "Troy sent me some photos from his trip to the Maldives last year. He knows I have been wanting to go there, so he was just sharing travel tips. You know how I have always dreamed about those overwater bungalows." I believed her because I wanted to believe her. Even when she canceled our anniversary dinner at the last minute, claiming her boss needed her at an emergency client meeting, I suppressed my growing anxiety. Instead, I channeled my energy into planning a surprise weekend getaway to rekindle our connection, completely unaware that our relationship was already beyond saving. The morning Amanda disappeared started like any other. We had coffee together before work, talked about plans to meet friends for dinner that weekend, and kissed goodbye. She seemed completely normal, maybe even more affectionate than usual. "I love you, Josiah," she said at the door, lingering a moment longer in our embrace. Those were the last words I would hear from her in person. Throughout the day, I sent her our usual text messages. First about a funny incident at work, then asking what she wanted for dinner. By evening, with no response, mild concern crept in. I called her cell, but it went straight to voicemail. By midnight, worry had blossomed into full-blown panic. This was completely out of character for Amanda, who always responded promptly. I called her friend Lily, who claimed not to know where Amanda was but sounded strange, hesitant. Something in her voice heightened my suspicions. I tried several other friends, all with similar responses, vague confusion, awkward pauses, and unconvincing concern. The next morning, I noticed things missing from our apartment. Her favorite clothes, her expensive skincare products, the jewelry I had given her for Christmas, and the photo of her grandmother that always sat on her nightstand. Yet other things remained: books, furniture. We had purchased together, kitchen appliances she had selected. It was as if she had taken only what was truly important or valuable. I reported her missing to the police, who took basic information, but seemed uninterested when I mentioned her belongings were missing. "Sounds like she left voluntarily, sir," the officer said, with barely concealed boredom. "We cannot classify an adult who chooses to leave as missing." Desperate for answers, I searched through what remained of her things. In the back of her desk drawer, buried under warranty papers and old receipts, I found a prepaid phone I had never seen before. The battery was dead, but after charging it, I discovered dozens of messages between Amanda and Troy dating back months. Their conversations were intimate, filled with "I love yous" and explicit messages that tore at my heart. They discussed plans, timelines, and how to handle the Josiah situation. Hands shaking, I logged into my bank account. The devastation deepened as I discovered multiple withdrawals over the past 2 months, totaling $18,000, money I had been saving for our future for her engagement ring. Most withdrawals were made during my regular work hours, when she knew I would not be checking my accounts. I called Amanda's parents in Portland, people I had spent holidays with, who had welcomed me into their family. Her mother answered with a strange formality. "Josiah, Amanda told us she needed some time away to think about your relationship. I am sure she will contact you when she is ready." Before hanging up, she added, "These things happen, dear. Sometimes people just are not compatible." Their coldness was jarring, nothing like the warm family I thought I knew. The final blow came from Ryan, a mutual friend who called me the next day. His voice was heavy with guilt as he confessed, Man, I cannot keep this from you anymore. Amanda has been planning to leave for months. She swore us all to secrecy, said she needed a clean break. When I pressed for more information, he reluctantly admitted. She got back together with Troy around 6 months ago. I am sorry, bro. We should have told you. The room seemed to spin around me. 6 months, half a year of lies, deception, and manipulation, while I remained blissfully unaware, planning a future that was never going to happen. I collapsed onto the couch, physically ill from the betrayal, unable to reconcile the Amanda. I thought I knew with the woman who could do this to me. The next morning I could barely function. I called in sick to work, something I rarely did. I could not eat or sleep, replaying every moment of our relationship in my mind, searching for signs I had missed. The weight of humiliation pressed down on me as I realized how completely I had been fooled. I had loved Amanda with everything I had, trusted her without reservation, had built my entire future around her. And in return, she had used me, lied to me, and stolen from me before disappearing without even the respect of a goodbye. Practical concerns finally broke through my emotional paralysis. I needed to stop the financial bleeding immediately. I called my bank in a panic, reporting the unauthorized withdrawals. The representative sounded sympathetic, but delivered another blow, since I had given Amanda my passwords and access to my accounts. Technically, the transactions were authorized. It becomes a civil matter rather than fraud, she explained gently. I provided documentation showing the unusual pattern of withdrawals, the timing corresponding exactly with periods when she knew I would be unavailable. The bank agreed to investigate but warned me that recovery might be difficult. While dealing with the financial aftermath, a notification popped up on my phone. A mutual friend had tagged Amanda in an Instagram post. With trembling fingers, I opened the app to find a stunning image of crystal blue waters and luxury overwater bungalows. The caption read, "Paradise found, so happy for you two lovebirds. Number Maldives escape. Number new beginnings." There she was. Amanda with her arms wrapped around Troy on a pristine beach, both holding tropical drinks, her wearing a new bikini I had never seen. The geotag confirmed it. Maldives, specifically one of the most exclusive resorts in the region where villas cost thousands per night. My $18,000 was funding their romantic getaway. More photos emerged as I frantically searched through social media. Troy had posted a selfie of them on a private speedboat with the caption, "Starting our new life together the right way." Amanda's rarely used Twitter account suddenly showed activity. Sometimes you have to go back to move forward. Second chances are worth fighting for. Number, true love. Through mutual connections, I pieced together more of the story. Amanda and Troy had reconnected at a marketing conference 8 months ago. Their affair had begun almost immediately, conducted through secret meetings and fabricated work emergencies. While Troy had originally broken up with Amanda years ago, his recent business failures had apparently made her stable, financially secure boyfriend look like a useful stepping stone. The depth of the betrayal expanded when friends reluctantly revealed more details. "We thought you knew something was wrong," said Kyle, the friend whose party had introduced us. "She was so obvious about it. Troy even picked her up from our game night last month. We assumed you two had an arrangement or were breaking up." I discovered Troy had been struggling financially after a failed business venture. His luxury interior design company had collapsed under debt, leaving him nearly bankrupt. The timing aligned perfectly with Amanda's renewed interest in my financial details and her increasing access to my accounts. Most painful was learning that Amanda had systematically manipulated me for months, strategically increasing her access to my finances while planning her escape. She told me she deserved a parting gift for wasting 2 years with you. One of her friends confessed after several drinks, apparently thinking this would somehow make me feel better. The emotional impact was devastating. I had not just lost my girlfriend and my money. I had lost my ability to trust my own judgment. How could I have been so completely deceived by someone I thought I knew? So intimately, I spiraled into depression, barely leaving my apartment, except for work, ignoring calls from concerned friends. I felt hollow, humiliated, and hopeless. In my darkest moment, sitting alone in our half-empty apartment, surrounded by memories of a relationship that had been a lie, I reached a breaking point. I could remain a victim destroyed by Amanda's betrayal, or I could fight back. Something hardened within me, a resolve to not let this define the rest of my life. I was a victim, yes, but I refused to remain one. The following morning, I woke up with a clear head and a plan. First, I documented everything. Using my software development skills, I created a detailed timeline of Amanda's deception, compiling screenshots of social media posts, bank records, text messages, and emails. I recorded statements from friends who had witnessed their relationship. Every piece of evidence was meticulously organized and backed up. I contacted a lawyer specializing in fraud and theft cases. During our consultation, she reviewed my evidence and nodded with growing confidence. "This is not just theft, Josiah. This is a clear case of fraud and potentially identity theft, since she used your personal information to access your accounts without authorization for criminal purposes." With my lawyer's guidance, I filed a comprehensive police report, providing them with organized evidence of the $18,000 theft. Unlike my initial missing person report this time, the police took me seriously. "This is actually quite common," the detective told me, "but most victims are too embarrassed to pursue it. Thank you for having the courage to come forward." Next came the financial recovery phase. Armed with the police report, I revisited my bank and credit card companies. I methodically disputed every fraudulent transaction, providing evidence that the withdrawals were part of a premeditated scheme. The investigation was opened, and my accounts were flagged for protection. I discovered I was not Amanda's first victim. Through a support group for victims of romantic fraud, I connected with Taylor, a woman from Portland, who had a disturbingly similar experience with Amanda 3 years earlier. She took $12,000 from me before disappearing with some guy from her past, Taylor told me during our phone call. I was too ashamed to pursue it legally. Together with Taylor and 2 other previous victims, we discovered we built a stronger case, showing Amanda's pattern of behavior. The detective was impressed with our collaboration. "This changes things significantly," she said. "We are now looking at a pattern of ongoing criminal behavior across state lines." 3 weeks into my fight, I received notification from my bank they had succeeded in freezing several accounts connected to the fraud. Both Amanda and Troy had used my money to open new accounts, which were now inaccessible to them. My lawyer called with the news, "The resort in Maldives has been notified of the fraud investigation. Their romantic getaway is about to come to an abrupt end." The results were swifter than I expected. Amanda's paradise escape crumbled when the resort demanded immediate payment after their credit cards were declined. According to a staff member who contacted me through social media, they were escorted from their luxury villa when they could not produce alternative payment, their belongings temporarily held by the resort. Suddenly, my phone exploded with messages from Amanda. "Josiah, there has been a huge misunderstanding. Please call me. I can explain everything. This is not what it looks like." I forwarded each message to my lawyer without responding. Through mutual friends, I learned that Amanda and Troy were scrambling to find funds to return home their luxury escape, having transformed into a nightmare of embassy visits and desperate calls to family members. Troy apparently abandoned Amanda at the airport, unwilling to face the consequences alongside her. The legal process moved forward methodically. The police investigation expanded, and charges were filed against both Amanda and Troy. My bank recovered $12,000 of my stolen money, with the process continuing for the remainder. Most importantly, I regained my sense of agency and self-respect by refusing to remain a silent victim. 1 year later, my life looks completely different. The legal case against Amanda resulted in a felony conviction, restitution orders, and a profound sense of justice. While I may never recover every dollar she took, the experience taught me invaluable lessons about resilience and self-protection. The healing process was not linear. For months after Amanda's betrayal, I struggled with insomnia and trust issues. Simple activities like checking my bank account would trigger anxiety attacks. I began working with a therapist who specialized in betrayal trauma, slowly rebuilding my sense of security and self-worth. I found unexpected support in the community of fraud victims I connected with during the case. We formed a tight-knit group that understood each other's experiences without judgment. Through their friendship, I learned that being deceived did not make me stupid or weak, just human and capable of trust, a quality I refused to surrender. 6 months after Amanda's disappearance, I made the difficult decision to move from our apartment, leaving behind the painful memories it contained. My new place is smaller, but entirely mine, decorated with items that represent my journey toward healing, photos from a solo hiking trip I took to reclaim my love of the outdoors, artwork from new friends, and books that helped me understand and process what happened. I rebuilt my financial security through careful planning and a promotion at work. I created new safeguards for my accounts, regularly monitor my credit, and maintain healthy skepticism about financial entanglements in relationships. These precautions do not mean I cannot love or trust again, just that I do so with appropriate boundaries. Dating has been challenging but not impossible. I have been transparent with new connections about my experience, using it as a way to discuss expectations and boundaries early on. The right people respond with empathy rather than judgment, and I have slowly opened myself to the possibility of a new relationship built on mutual respect and honesty. The most unexpected outcome was discovering my own strength. Before this happened, I defined myself largely through my relationship. Now I know I can face devastating betrayal and not just survive, but rebuild. That knowledge cannot be taken from me, no matter what challenges I face in the future. Amanda occasionally attempts to contact me, especially after the court-mandated restitution payments began affecting her lifestyle. Each time I maintain my boundary of no direct communication, all contact going through appropriate legal channels. This is not about revenge, but about self-protection and consequences for actions. The experience taught me to recognize the difference between genuine connections and manipulation. I now understand that real love does not require sacrifice of my boundaries, finances, or self-respect. I deserve a relationship based on honesty and mutual growth, not exploitation. If you have ever experienced betrayal or deception in a relationship, know that it does not define your worth or your future. The pain is real and valid, but it is also temporary. Build your support system, seek help when needed, and remember that fighting for justice is not petty or vindictive. It is an essential part of reclaiming your power. I would love to hear your stories of resilience in the comments below. Have you ever had to rebuild after betrayal? What helped you move forward? Please subscribe to my channel for more stories of overcoming life's challenges. Like this video if it resonated with you, and share it with someone who might need to hear that they are not alone. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember, sometimes our greatest strength emerges from our most painful experiences.